Condolences continue to roll in now all across social media as word spreads of the death of longtime Fargo Marathon director Mark Knutson. The 53-year-old was riding a bike on South Shore Drive in Detroit Lakes yesterday morning around 7 when he collided with a pickup pulling a boat trailer. Both parties were westbound on that stretch of roadway. This freeze frame here from a recent interview when he joined us in studio on North Dakota Today.
First responders performed life-saving measures at the scene. Then Knutson was airlifted to Sanford Trauma Center in Fargo, where he died. The driver of the pickup is 42-year-old Jacob Grabowski of Fargo. No word of any charges filed in that case. Now, Knutson was also the general manager of the Detroit Mountain Recreation Area.
That company released a statement confirming his death, saying Knutson was a visionary and that they were excited about his involvement and ideas that he had for the future of Detroit Mountain. Knutson co-founded the Fargo Marathon in 2005 and was instrumental in growing it from just a few hundred runners to multiple events over marathon weekend involving more than 20,000 people.
We have new information this morning on a deadly car crash on Interstate 29 just north of Fargo. The North Dakota Highway Patrol is now identifying that victim as 24-year-old Logan Barcia of Florida. Troopers say that he drove his pickup off the highway around 3 yesterday morning and then flipped in the median. He was thrown from the vehicle and landed on the interstate, where he was then hit by an oncoming semi. The semi driver was not hurt and is not facing any charges in that crash.
New this morning, 3 North Dakota teenagers now seriously hurt and the driver of the car they were in now on the run. Police say 18-year-old Damian Brunel of Belcourt lost control of his pickup and rolled into a ditch yesterday morning just before 4. It was south of St. John and Rolette County. Then ran away from the scene. Terrius Davis of Devil's Lake and Landon Janot of Belcourt were ejected during that rollover and found unconscious. Tough Longy also found, also of Belcourt, sitting up and conscious at the time. All are badly injured but are expected to survive. It was a gruesome discovery in Sioux Falls. A man now facing charges after the body of a 63-year-old man was found in an apartment, partially inside a garment bag. A caseworker was doing a welfare check on Wednesday, finding the body of Negussie Bolte, who police say had been dead for about a week.
29-year-old Morningstar Jewett is charged with aggravated assault. He was already in jail after an arrest on unrelated charges. Court documents say that Jewett admitted to assaulting Bolte with a piece of wood and then stomping on his head until he was unconscious. The body of a Minnesota woman who had been missing for 2 years has been found in a Coon Rapids storage unit. St. Paul police say that Fanta Sauvillon's death has been linked to Joseph Jorgensen, who was charged in another woman's death after her dismembered body was found in a different storage unit.
Jorgensen was charged last week with murdering Mani Justarin. Police are now trying to determine if Jorgensen is linked to any other missing people.
Well, we are waking up this morning to some hazy skies out there in the metro. You see it a little bit, but hey, that's sunshine giving a few nice bright peaks of sun there. We go over to meteorologist Lisa Green, who's tracking the radar for the very latest. Good morning, Lisa.
Good morning. Yeah, a little quieter out there this morning after the cold front's been pushing through. That's also creating some of that haze with some wildfire smoke making its way in behind it. And we still have a couple of spots where we have some sprinkles going on. Radar looking much quieter even from when we started the valley today at 4:30 this morning. You can see that there are some green on the map. We'll zoom in a little bit more here where you see kind of this broken line of showers that are moving pretty quickly to the south and east. They're also kind of falling apart as well. So just some sprinkles at this point, and we should be continuing to quiet down as the morning goes on. Here's a look outside again in Fargo. You see that hazy sun. Air quality has been in the yellow or moderate category, but some sensors in the region, including around Fargo and back over toward Jamestown, that are indicating that some of us are in that orange category as well, meaning that we are feeling that wildfire smoke having some impacts on some of our more sensitive groups. So keep that in mind. Should be moving southward as the day progresses, and we should be clearing out pretty quickly as well. Our temperatures into the 50s and 60s. It's 62 in Fargo. It's 60 in Grand Forks. Some of us still in the 50s, 57 in Devil's Lake and in Bemidji, and Jamestown's also at 59. The wind turning northerly today. If you're heading out to the fair, we've got some pretty pretty decent weather here. We're looking at dry conditions. Not so worried about the smoke here for the afternoon and evening hours, but still there's some out there creating some hazy skies. And we're not worried about thunderstorms impacting your plans. If you're heading out to the concert tonight, should be on the drier side. Temperatures getting into the 70s here for today. So lunch hour, if you're heading out there for lunch, into the low 70s, into the evening hours, low to upper 70s, depending on what time you're heading in that direction for today. So 77 today. We'll be continuing to step back from the heat from yesterday this week, but just in time for the weekend. Friday back into some low 80s, and we'll have some shots of rain as the week goes on.
Okay, we like to see things getting better by the weekend. I know it's just Monday, but we know summer's limited, so we got to make the most of the lakes and rivers around here.
Absolutely.
Always thinking about the weekend. And right now it does look to be quieter this weekend too. Warm and quiet, that's what we want to see.
Okay, we like it. Thank you, Lisa. 6:56 right now. North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum was interviewed by Chuck Todd on NBC's Meet the Press yesterday.
Burgum discussed his 2024 presidential campaign and how the federal government should or should not play a role in a culture war.
You got to be looking to the future. We need a president that's focused on the challenges that we're being faced as a nation, not a president that's going to decide whether a book is in the right section or not in a library in a small town somewhere in America. That is and that's part of what was going wrong now.
Burgum also told Todd that he wouldn't do business with Donald Trump. He says he thinks it's important that you're judged by the company you keep.
President Joe Biden is in Europe for a series of high-stakes meetings this week. His first stop will be in Britain, where he is set to meet with King Charles for his first time since the coronation. Following that, the president is headed to Lithuania for the annual NATO summit, where Sweden is looking to join that alliance. Biden said in an interview that Ukraine, which has been heavily lobbying to join NATO, is not ready for membership. The trip will wrap up with a final stop in Finland. They recently joined NATO earlier this year.
During his overseas trip, Biden is likely to face questions over the U.S. decision to send cluster munitions to Ukraine. The move is controversial because of the threat to innocent civilians. The weapon has already been banned by over 100 other countries. Cluster munitions break up like a firework mid-air, dropping smaller bomblets. Here's an example of how. Across a large region, which can remain underground for years and could explode long after the war. Ukraine's ambassador to the U.S. told Margaret Brennan on Face the Nation that Ukraine will responsibly use the weapons and vowed not to use them in civilian populated areas. Another major insurance company says it's limiting coverage for homes in California due to the risk of wildfires. Farmers Insurance blaming severe weather events like wildfires and climbing costs for reconstruction.
It follows similar announcements by Allstate and State Farm. Some consumer advocates say the companies are pressuring state regulators to approve rate hikes. We have a traffic alert today for drivers in West Fargo. We are taking a live look here at 6th Avenue West, where the westbound lane between Cheyenne and Sukkot Streets are closing this morning for the manhole installation.
Yeah, you see all the cones set up there on the street already. Work is expected to be complete by Friday, July 21st. This project is part of an ongoing rehab of the city's aging sanitary sewer infrastructure. Also, a lane closure starting tomorrow will impact drivers on Interstate 94 near Alexandria. The DOT says lane closures will be in both directions west of Alex, so crews can install traffic control devices and start building crossovers for the upcoming concrete resurfacing project.
Once the crossovers are in place by the end of July, you can expect only one lane, head-to-head traffic for each direction, and a 4-mile stretch, and that's expected to be that way through October. 2 breeders in Minnesota are shutting down, and North Lakes Rescue out of Pequot Lakes, Minnesota, is taking in all of the dogs that they can find placement for.
There are 46 dogs, including purebred yellow, chocolate, and black labs, doodle puppies, and Great Pyrenees. You can apply to foster these puppies at northernlakesrescue.org. Powerball mania ramping up again after no one won Saturday night's jackpot. The next drawing is tonight. The jackpot so far at $650 million.
Hardly enough, right? Anyway,
I'd say so.
Yeah, it is the 10th largest in history. The last big hit was April 19th. That person only won a mere $252 million.
Chump change.
Anyway, yeah, best of luck to everyone who is playing.
Thank you all so much for joining us here on the Valley today to kick off your Monday.
And we'll see you right here tomorrow morning.